Hi everyone, good to see you again. I hope you're in good condition. Well, I'm Jefta Yanuar Randry. I'm going to tell you about pragmatism and education. Okay, before we go further about pragmatism and education, let's see the picture. Do you remember about this? That's good. This is about our previous lesson. It's about Western and Eastern philosophy. They are different in their thinking. Western philosophy use logic, rationality, and materialism, while Eastern philosophy uses inner life, intuition, and mysticism. As a result, both studies can be useful and complement each other to bring out a new philosophy that can improve education better. Let's go to the next slide. This is a picture, and I want you to choose one way how to get to upstairs. Then think about your reason and the process of getting to upstairs. That's good. I know you have different answer with your friends, but it's okay. Okay, this picture will show you choosing your direction and knowing the process to get to destination relates to what I'm going to explain now. It's okay you have different way with your friends, but don't worry. You have your own idea that help you achieve your goal. This activity guides you to think pragmatically. Well, let us jump to the material. Talk about pragmatism. Pragmatism is philosophy that encourages us to seek out the process and do the things that work best to help us achieve desirable ends. This philosophy tests traditional ways of thinking, doing, and possible, try to apply them in daily life. It also supports creating new ideas to deal with the changing world. You know, the root of pragmatism basically comes from British, European, and ancient Greek philosophers' traditions. Then, in modern pragmatism, is developed by American philosophers. Okay, to help us more understand the topic, there are three objectives that there are important for us to know. The first is we will analyze notions of origin pragmatism of some philosophers. The second, we will compile pragmatism based on American philosophers. And the third, we can relate pragmatism and education towards Adventist education. Yeah, these are the content that we are going to explore. The first, origins of pragmatism. The second, pragmatism of American philosophers. And the last, pragmatism as a philosophy of education. The first part is about origins of pragmatism. They are a new way of thinking, centrality of experience, science and society. For the first point here, we will talk about a new way of thinking. In this part, there are some induction methods based on the philosophers. Induction methods are an opinion arrived at through a process of reasoning. Bacon argues that science should be concerned with material things. Moreover, pragmatism extends its range to include problems in economics, politics, psychology, art, education, and over ethics. While the second theories made his induction method to social and psychological behavior. Then the third, William James, his inductive methods to moral and religious. The last, Dewey's inductive method focused on education and democratic society in broad terms. Okay, let's talk about the second point. It talks about centrality of experience. This finding focuses on human experience is important. There are two philosophers. The first, John Locke, says that if people have more experience, they will have more ideas imprinted on their mind and more with which to relate. While Jean-Jacques Rousseau argues about relation between nature and experience. Well, let's go to the third part. In this part, talk about science and society. There are two philosophers that argues about this. The first is Auguste Comte. He proposed that science has a possibility to help solve social problems. While Darwin, I think you know these people. Charles Darwin, right. Darwin argues that person's education tied directly to biological and social development. Okay, is it clear? Okay, I hope you understand about this part. If you have a question, you can contact me later. Okay, now we come to the second content of the topic. Then I will explain about American pragmatists who fully handle pragmatism. They are Charles Sanders Peirce, William James, and John Dewey. They connected with different ideas of pragmatism. It is entirely dependent upon human beings and the environment. You will find that the ideas of Dewey will influence some development educational area because he is an educational theorist. There are some differences according to their ideas of pragmatism. Peirce finds that ideas or concepts cannot be separated from human conduct, while James, he proposed that to get truth, you must study experience itself. How about Dewey? Dewey brings pragmatism to social action and education. Alright, in this part, we will find the contribution. Then, now, we come to the final part of the subject, and I think this is the most important part. Here it is. We'll talk about pragmatism as philosophy of education. There are 5 points that help us to know the contribution of pragmatism, especially from Dewey's thought toward education. Then, we will relate them to Adventist education. Okay, back to the 5 points. There are educations, aims, methods, curriculum, and role of Teachers. Let's go to the next. The first part is education. Dewey says that education should be natural and related to development of human. Children must be understood in terms of mental, physical, and emotional development, and also social and cultural factors that influence and shape their life. It is very important for us as an educator. We should pay attention to this. Okay. Then how about the second? Let's see. Alright, let's talk about the second. It talks about aim of education. Dewey argues that the aim of education is growth. It is the characteristic of life. Education is all one with growing. It has no end beyond itself. Education is learned during our life. It means that if we are alive, we still learn. Education has a moral influence and should play a vital part in helping the children become the kind of moral persons who are interested in promoting growth for others and for ourselves. Okay, now we will talk about methods of education. For the teachers or for the school maybe, it's important to use flexible education methods that can be used various ways. You know, there are no single way to educate. And I believe educators should be aware of many approaches, including the use of source in the wider community. Moreover, it's important for educators to use some methods in various ways because there's no single way to educate our students. We should make appropriate method, and then I think attractive method is really needed in the meeting because the process of the learning is important and it will affect the result of the learning itself. Okay, now we'll talk about curriculum. As educators, we think that this part quite difficult to do because we need to arrange subjects for the students. In this part, school needs to provide important subject to children's interests. Curriculum should be made to focus on learning process. It means that we tend to more focus on learning process. Why? Because that process will affect the result as well. Moreover, the students will anchor their understanding because they know the process. I think this is the right education because we don't need to focus on the result, but we tend to focus on the process itself. Okay, let's talk about this. Role of teachers. In my opinion, become a teacher is so challenging. We must well prepared in front of students, especially in learning activity. Then, a teacher should know everything. Are you sure about this? Okay, let's see. Do we talk about this? His ideas show that teachers should serve as knowable guides and resources for students, not a test maker who just drills students in subject matter. Well, it's clear that we are teachers should be knowable guides and resources for students. So, what will we do for this? Yes, we need to read more. We need to learn more so we can up to date time by time. And the second, teacher should link a subject to student life and experience. Oh, so when we teach about our subject, we should relate the subject to our life. It means that when we teach our subject, we should relate it to the student's life. So our subject that we teach are useful for them. Well, we come to the final part of this topic, and I have summarized and conclude by these two sentences. The first, pragmatism and education are about life and growth. Both are relatable content. Then, pragmatism and education toward Adventist education are complementary. Moreover, the philosophy shows us additional source of educational fundamental. It will enrich us about the parts of education that should we know and do. Pragmatism and education cannot be separated because education is motivated by philosophy or pragmatism itself. Relating to Adventist education, there is nothing to be debated because the basis of pragmatism and education toward Adventist education are complementary. Then, both have a similar purpose to improve human beings mentally, individually, socially, and spiritually in this changing world. So, we can conclude that pragmatism and education has close relationship toward Adventist education. I think we are a teacher, we should know about this. And I hope this topic will enrich us about the curriculum, method of education, and the education itself, and especially the role of the teacher. And I hope it will enlarge us because we are a teacher and we need to improve ourselves so we can be a good resources to our students. Thank you for your attention, and I think that's all. I hope this topic will be valuable for you and useful for you who listen and read my PowerPoint presentation. And for the next lesson, we will talk about reconstructionism and education. Don't forget to study at home and prepare for the next lesson. Thank you and God bless.